Hello everybody, I am Dr. Priya Sethuraman, Professor, Department of Management Studies, St. Joseph Institute of Technology. Today I would like to explain the topic flexible exchange rate system. So there are three types of exchange rate system. They are fixed, flexible and managed floating exchange rate system. So out of these three, flexible exchange rate system is the most important one, as most of the countries follow this particular flexible exchange rate system. So first I would like to give a definition for the flexible exchange rate system. It is nothing but the exchange rate which is determined by the forces of demand and supply of foreign currencies in the foreign exchange market. As you know that there are two important components. One is the demand, another one is the supply of foreign currency. So there is no involvement of the government in the fixation of the exchange rate, and it is called as the floating exchange rate. So let us explain the exchange rate more clearly to you all. So as in this case, it is mentioned that $1 is equal to 86.11 rupee, and on the other hand it is equivalent to 1 rupee is equal to $0.0116. So there is a change, as there is a change in the exchange rate. Say for example, it changes to 83 rupees per dollar, and equivalently it is 1 rupee, that is equivalent to $0.0120. So in this case, can you guess whether the the exchange rate of dollar and the rupee has appreciated or depreciated? So that would explain the exchange rate, effect of exchange rate on the dollar and rupee. So in this case, there is an appreciation of rupee and depreciation in dollars. So this is a very important effect that I wanted to explain it to you. And another case, when you take it from the existing one, if there is a change in the exchange rate to 90 rupees per dollar, and equivalently it is equal to $0.0111 per rupee. So in this case, can you tell what is which currency is appreciated and depreciated? So it is the reverse of the above one. So here rupee is depreciated and dollar is appreciated. So we can generalize that the exchange rate, okay, will influence the dollar and the rupee, whether through appreciation or depreciation or vice versa. So that is the logic that has been explained to you. So I hope you have understood this particular exchange rate, the effect, and then we move on to the components of the flexible exchange rate system. There are two components of flexible exchange rate system. They are the demand for foreign currency, or in terms of dollar we are going to explain, and the second one is the supply of foreign currency or dollars. So here let us first start with the demand for foreign exchange or demand for the dollars. So it can be defined as the requirement of the foreign currencies, or in terms of dollars, for making payments. So when we make payment in dollars, there is an outflow. There is an outflow of the dollars from one country to another. So in this case, we are discussing from the context of Indian continent, and so dollar is moving away from Indian continent. So here, whenever there is a change in the exchange rate, okay, it influences the demand for foreign currency at any point of time. Okay, so the dollar also changes. the requirement of the dollar changes. That is what no, we mean to explain here. So here, let us explain in terms of the demand curve. So you'll understand more clearly. So what is demand curve for foreign currency? The demand curve for foreign currency is a downward sloping curve which explains the relationship between the exchange rate and the demand for the dollars. So there is an inverse relationship between the exchange rate and the demand for foreign currency. And whenever the exchange rate increases, the demand for dollar decreases, and the vice versa. So this is the relationship between the exchange rate and the demand for dollars. Okay, so we can graphically explain this in a more better manner. So you can see that y-axis and the x-axis denotes quantity demanded, billion dollars, and the y-axis exchange rate, rupee per dollar. And demand for dollar is a downward sloping curve. And in this particular graph, we can explain the effect of exchange rate on the demand for dollars. So say for example, when the exchange rate is 83.5 per dollar, rupees 83.5 per dollar, the demand, okay, is 75 billion dollars. And when the exchange rate, okay, changes to rupees 82.5 per dollar, the quantity demanded uh, increases to 100 billion dollars. Okay, so when there is a change in the uh, exchange rate to rupees 84.5 per dollar, there is a change in the quantity demanded, and it decreases to 50 billion dollars. So this particular change in the exchange rate and the effect of the exchange rate on the demand can be explained in terms of the dollar appreciation and the rupee appreciation or depreciation. So that was explained in the second slide of this presentation. You can guess which particular exchange rate will lead to the appreciation and depreciation of dollar and rupee. So after understanding this particular the demand curve for foreign currency, let us go deeper into it by understanding what are the factors that really shifts the demand curve, okay, and influences the demand for foreign currencies. So the factors that influence the demand for foreign currencies are import of goods and services, tourism, unilateral transfer sent abroad, purchase of assets in foreign countries, investment in foreign exchange market in terms of the buying foreign shares and bonds. So here, when we explain the first factor, imports of goods and services. So when there is an increase in demand for dollars, so it is due to the increase in the imports of goods and services. So vice versa. So in the second factor, that talks about tourism. So whenever Indian people are going abroad for visiting other countries for tourism purpose, they need dollars. So they go and get the dollars from the banks and spend abroad. And next is the unilateral transfer sent abroad. Many people in India, they for business transaction, they sent the sent money to the other people. It may be for business or for any gift items. And purchase of assets in foreign countries and investment in foreign exchange markets have the same kind of relationship. Okay, so you have understood how it is related with the demand. This slide, we can explain the shift in demand curve due to the factors that influence the demand for dollars. So x-axis the quantity demanded per no, $1 billion, and the exchange rate rupee per dollar, and the existing demand curve DD for dollar will shift upwards whenever there is a change in the demand for dollars, or increase, that is the increase in demand for dollars due to the increase in the imports of goods and services. And this is due to the increase in demand for dollar, and the demand for dollar will decrease when there is a decrease in import of goods and services, as no, the number of tourism gets reduced from Indian continent to abroad, and the other factors. Okay, so this is the shift in the demand curve, upwards or downwards. The next very important component is the supply of foreign currency or dollar. So it is defined as the amount of foreign currency received by the people through any transaction. So it explains the inflow of money from foreign country to India. So whenever there is a change in the exchange rate, okay, it will change the supply of dollars. So it is better explained through the supply curve, and the supply curve explains the relationship between the exchange rate and the supply of dollars. So it slopes upwards, and there is a positive relationship between exchange rate and the supply of dollars. So whenever there is a increase in the exchange rate, the supply of dollars also increases, and vice versa. So through the graphical representation, we can better explain the supply curve of the foreign currency. So x-axis denotes the supply of dollars in terms of billion, and the y-axis exchange rate rupee per dollar, and the supply of dollar is an upward sloping curve. Okay, at any point of time in the supply of dollar, okay, whenever there is a change in the exchange rate, there will be a change in the supply of dollars. So say for example, when the exchange rate is 83.5 per dollar, okay, the supply of dollar will be 75 billion dollars. And when there is a change in the exchange rate to 84.5 rupees per dollar, the supply of dollar increases to 100 dollars billion dollars. And when the exchange rate is 82.5 rupee per dollar, the supply of dollar decreases to 50 billion dollars. So this effect of exchange rate on the supply of dollar is better understood by you through a graphical representation. Now we will explain the shift in supply curve. So when there will be a change in the supply curve, so it may be due to the factors that really influences the supply of dollars. So they may be the exports of goods and services, foreign investments, then unilateral transfer from abroad, then investment in foreign exchange markets. So here as you take the first factor, export of goods and services. So whenever there is an increase in exports of goods and services, okay, so we receive the dollars, or that is inflow of dollars towards the Indian continent, and vice versa. And whenever there is a foreign investment in India being made by the foreign companies, there will be a supply of foreign dollars, okay, foreign currencies, and this will increase the supply. Then unilateral transfer from abroad, when people who go into the foreign country for working, when they send money to their relatives and send gift to their relatives and parents, okay, so and friends, the dollar supply increases. And the fourth one is the investment in the foreign investment through the foreign institutional investors and other investors in the foreign exchange markets. Okay, for purchase of shares. The effect of export on the supply of dollars will be explained in this slide. That is, whenever there is an increase in the export of goods and services, it will lead to increase in the supply of dollars. And whenever there is a decrease in the export of goods and services, the supply of dollars will reduce. So the other factors also has the same no, effect on the supply of dollars. Say for example, the tourism. Whenever there is an increase in the tourism from foreign countries to Indian continent, the supply of dollars will increase, and when the tourism decreases, the supply of dollars will reduce. So the same effect it has from the other factors. Now we will explain the shift in supply curve through the graphical representation. So y-axis exchange rate, rupee per dollar, and x-axis supply of dollar in billion. And the existing supply curve is an upward sloping curve, supply of dollars, SS of dollar, and increase in supply of dollar will shift towards the right side of the existing one to SS1 of dollar, and the decrease in supply of dollar to SS2 of dollar towards the left side. So the increase in supply will be due to the increase in exports of goods and services, and decrease in supply of dollars will be due to the decrease in exports of services and the other factors also which has been mentioned there. So now it is no, very important to understand the interaction of the demand and supply of foreign currency, or in terms of dollar, okay, in the flexible exchange rate system. So because this is how the fixation of the exchange rate is being done by the interaction of the demand and supply of dollars. So here x-axis is the quantity demanded in supply of dollars in billion, and here y-axis denotes the exchange rate rupee per dollar. The existing demand for dollar, okay, and the existing supply of dollar is being represented here in this graph, and you can see that the intersection of the demand and the supply of dollar curve happens at point E, okay, at point E, and that determines the exchange rate. So at 75 quantity demanded and supply of dollar, 75 billion dollars, okay, the exchange rate is fixed at 83.5 per dollar, rupee per dollar. So this is how the flexible exchange rate system works out. So further speaking, the in terms of the definition or the interpretation which is given in this slide, that is, the exchange rate is determined by the interaction of the forces of demand and supply, and the equilibrium exchange rate is determined at a level where demand for foreign exchange is equal to the supply of foreign exchange, that you saw in the previous slide, where at point E, okay, the determination of the exchange rate is happening, and 83.5 rupee per dollar is being fixed for a quantity demanded and supplied in billion. So further speaking, when there is a change in the demand for dollar, okay, or shift in the demand for dollar, what will happen to the exchange rate? So that's what we are going to see it in this particular slide. So we will see now when there is a increase in the demand for dollar, and this increase in demand for dollar may be because of the increase in the imports of goods and services. Okay, so here keeping the supply of dollars constant. So the new equilibrium, okay, happens at a point where the DD1 uh, DD dash for dollar is equivalent to the supply of dollar. So that happens at point E1. Okay. So from point E1, we can determine the new exchange rate. Okay. So a new exchange rate, that is the rupees 84.5 rupees per dollar. Okay, and the quantity demanded and the supply increases to 100 billion dollars. So this particular change in the demand, okay, or particularly when we say increase in the demand for dollars, what happened to the exchange rate? The exchange rate will change, okay, and this change, okay, is better understood as where there is an depreciation in the rupee and appreciation in the dollar. So this is how the effect has been no, explained due to the change in the demand for dollar, particularly increase in the demand for dollar. Hope you have understood this particular slide, and we go to the next slide where we explain what will happen to the exchange rate when there is a decrease in the demand for dollar. So from the existing demand and supply and the exchange rate, we will see now there is a decrease in the demand for dollar to DD dash for dollar. Okay, and this is due to the decrease in imports of goods and services. So this particular effect, okay, that is the decrease in imports of goods and services, will shift the demand curve to the left side. So what will happen to the exchange rate? So the new equilibrium is achieved at a point where the DD dash for dollar is equal to the constant supply of dollar, that is the E2 uh, E2, and the exchange rate is determined at 81.5 rupee per dollar. Okay, and the quantity has reduced to 50 billion dollars. So how better you can explain this in terms of the rupee and the dollar appreciation or depreciation? That is, whenever there is decrease in the demand for dollar, okay, the exchange rate effect on rupee will be appreciation, and dollar will. In this slide, we would like to explain the changes in the exchange rate due to the effect of the increase in the supply for dollars. So the existing supply and demand are in equilibrium at point E, and at the exchange rate 83.5 rupee per dollar and 75 billion dollars quantity demanded and supply. So now assume that the supply for dollar increases to SS dash of dollar, and this is due to the increase in exports of goods and services. So here, as the supply increases, okay, keeping the demand for dollar constant. So what will be the new equilibrium position, okay, from E? Okay, E is the existing one, and the new equilibrium position will shift to the intersection point of the demand for dollar and the SS dash of dollar, that is the E1. From the E1, we determine the exchange rate, that is the 82 dollars, sorry, 82 rupee per dollar. That is the exchange rate that is being determined due to this particular change. And at the 80 billion dollars, that is quantity demanded and the supply. So this is the new effect that has happened due to the increase in the supply of dollar. So now, as an effect of this particular change, you have to tell us whether the dollar and the rupee has appreciated or depreciated. So this effect of exchange rate has brought an appreciation in the rupee and depreciation in dollars. So this is the effect of exchange rate on rupee and dollar. Hope you have understood this. Next slide, we explain the changes in the supply for dollar. Okay, what will happen to the exchange rate? So in this case, whenever there is a decrease in supply of dollar, what will happen to the exchange rate? So here the existing equilibrium at point E, at the existing demand for dollar and supply of dollar. So we are now explaining decrease in supply. So decrease in supply is towards the left side of the existing supply curve, SS dash of dollar, and this is due to the decrease in exports of goods and services, due to which the supply for dollar reduces. So keeping the demand for dollar constant, and the new equilibrium position is achieved where the SS dash of the dollar is intersecting with the demand for dollar, and that is at E2, and from E2 we determine the exchange rate, that is the 85 rupee per dollar. So at the 85 rupee per dollar that has been determined, okay, at the $60 billion quantity demanded and supplied. So this is the new determination that is from the existing one, and as a result of the decrease in the supply of dollar. Okay, so now you have to tell me what effect it will have on the supply, what effect of the exchange rate from 83.5 rupee per dollar to 85 rupee per dollar on the dollar and the rupee, whether it is appreciated or depreciated. So exchange rate for the rupee has depreciated, and for the dollar it is appreciated. So hope you have understood this particular logical explanation of the changes in the supply of dollar, okay, towards the exchange rate. Okay, so in reality there is a simultaneous effect of the demand and supply. So because in these cases we have shown that whenever there is a change in the demand for dollar or a supply of dollar, keeping the other force constant, but in reality there is a simultaneous change in the supply of dollar or demand for dollar whenever there is a change in the other force. Okay, so that will be explained in a new session. Okay, until then, thank you for the listening, and hope you have understood the concept of flexible exchange rate system, and thank you once again.